Hey, this is Elia Einhorn. Welcome to the Talkhouse Podcast. Today I'm joined by
Nick Dawson, Editor-in-Chief of Talkhouse Film.
Today on the podcast, we have Rian Johnson in conversation with Anna Lily Amirpour.
Now, to me, Lily is one of the most exciting filmmakers to emerge in the past couple of years, an incredibly accomplished and confident visual storyteller. And her new movie, The Bad Batch, starring Suki Waterhouse as Arlen and Jason Momoa as Miami Man, is a dystopic, post-apocalyptic slow burn thriller, which is out June 23rd, or if you're listening the first day that we run this, tomorrow.
Now, Nick, you're not the only fan of her work. Rian Johnson loves her movies as well.
Absolutely. When I emailed Rian about the opportunity of talking to Lily, he completely jumped at the chance. Rian, of course, is the director of Brick, Looper, Brothers Bloom, and some little movie that's coming out at Christmas. I forget what it's called.
I think this little movie might be called Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And Johnson took a break from doing post on Star Wars to record this conversation. Now, a quick note about the sound quality. Typically on the Talkhouse podcast, we have our guests in studios or we have engineers with mics in front of them. Nick, you pulled this together very quickly, and we only had a minute to make it happen. We did this one by Skype.
Right. The sound quality is a little scratchy, but the stuff is great.
That's exactly right, Nick. They talk about micromanaging the editing process.
And Rian outs himself as a frame fucker.
He also talks about how he plans to spend the couple of months he's got between post on Star Wars and its cinematic release.
And they bond over the excruciating experience of watching rough cut screenings.
And the extremes they'll go to numb themselves to it.
We have a great moment where they each offer up a metaphor for their creative process. Lily going with the Shawshank Redemption, Rian with mining.
Lily mentioned cinematic boners.
The ultimate sign that you are excited about what you're shooting. That's something they touch upon.
They also talk about Terry Gilliam.
Absolutely. Rian sees Gilliam's work as an influence on The Bad Batch. And of course, Rian and Terry recorded one of my favorite ever Talkhouse podcasts. And that's what Lily and Rian first start talking about.
Let's roll it.
I listened to your talk with Terry Gilliam today.
Oh my God. Do I sound like an idiot? I haven't. I've been nervous to I didn't even want to listen back to it because he's such a hero. I was like, I think I just.
It was amazing. No, you were amazing, and he was amazing, and you guys are just like, and it was so comforting. I was like, why can't you just like Photoshop my voice into that conversation and let's put that out?
It's funny when I was watching The Bad Batch. I got to assume that you're a big fan of his, right? Are you a big Gilliam fan, or?
I love some of his movies a lot. Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, he's a pretty amazing dude. He's got like the creative energy of like a 10-year-old. It's amazing.
I love everything about it. Like, I love The Fisher King.
Oh my God. I saw that movie. That was one of the first movies that I like went back like multiple times to see in the theater to like study. I was like, I forget how old I was, man. But yeah, it's so good. So I guess we're talking. I guess we're no longer talking about talking. I guess we've dove into
Yeah.
All right. Where are you?
Is that cool?
Lily, where are you at right now, both physically and also in terms of when does the movie come out? Are you in the middle of publicity and everything still?
Yeah, I'm like deep in the middle of it. I'm in Los Angeles. I just flew in from San Francisco a few hours ago, and then press day tomorrow here in LA, and then Austin to Texas on Saturday. Yeah. Which is kind of cool because I'm going to be in Texas celebrating Bad Batch on Father's Day, and Miami Man is pretty much like the second dopest dad I know.
That's great. Is he working the filmmaking or something, or is he?
Who?
Your dad. Did you say your old man, or did I mishear you?
No. I was saying Miami Man, Momoa.
Miami Man. I'm sorry. I thought you said my old man is pretty much the dopest dad I know.
My dad is number one, but Miami Man I think is pretty good for like number two best, most devoted dad. That's gonna be out. Did you shoot it in Texas? Did you shoot the movie in Texas? No, I shot at the Salton Sea, Slab City, and in a small dried up town called Bombay Beach.
Okay.
And in a dry lake in Lancaster in the desert.
Okay, cool. Do you enjoy, just backing up to just the and I'm going to be totally selfish with the questions I ask, because the one
Please.
the one thing like you never get to do as a director is kind of see how other directors work. And so I'm just really interested, especially someone who I'm a fan of their work, and I'm a very, very big fan of your work, to see kind of how you do it. Because I always assume I'm doing it wrong, so I see how it.
That's like amazingly, like, it's just, I don't know. Just you saying that to me, I'm geeking out. My cheeks are flushed. I have to.
Let's get. So do you like, I guess the first question though, I mean, I don't know, not to, you can take the fifth on this because you're in the middle of it, but do you like the whole publicity tour thing? And that's not a loaded question, because I actually kind of do like it in a weird way, but is it something you enjoy, like going around talking about the movie after it's done, or is it kind of a grind for you?
Honestly, I fucking hate it.
Do you?
I tolerate it, but like, I don't fucking hate it, because that's like me doing a disservice to my own time on Earth. So I have to find a way to engage with something that just initially and just philosophically, the idea of talking about a film and answering questions about a film is counterintuitive to me. It's like, I don't do it to talk about it, except when I'm making it with the people that I'm making it with, but that's a different conversation. Right.
The conversations about, it's like, why did you spend the time making the movie if you if you could say what you wanted to say with the movie with explaining it to someone in a 20-minute phone call or whatever?
That's what I'm saying.
It makes a lot of sense too, because you're such a, I don't know, the huge thing that, like, and when I saw, Girl Walks Home, and when I saw Bad Batch, you're such a visual storyteller, and the confidence that you've got with your visual storytelling is incredible, by the way, but also it makes a lot of sense that it would, you tell your stories and there's so much layered into them and so much nuance, but it's all, so much of it is through the kind of, poetry of the visuals. It actually makes a lot of sense now that you say it, that it would be a pain in the ass
hard to talk
put
about.
into words. Yeah. So I'm in keeping with my selfish filmmaker question, I'm curious just to hear about kind of like how you work. Like my assumptions, which are probably totally wrong. I mean, I'll start with the camera, because you're, and I think you use that widescreen frame better than, I can't think of a filmmaker today who's got, where every single frame, and specifically for that wide aspect, there's something in your frames of every single shot that makes me kind of like, holy shit. So I'm curious, like, do you board? Do you shot list? How do you approach the visuals, or how organic is it when you get to, the location?
That's so cool that you feel that way. That's awesome to hear. Gosh. But I guess one of the big things is locations, and I have them like sometimes months, even like the airplane junkyard. I knew of that place a year before I was shooting the Bad Batch. It's a very overwhelming location, and it's massive and huge, and I mean I had to go there multiple times just to, and I mean like way before pre-production or even pre-production. Like, I don't want the pressure of having to make decisions, but just like be in that junkyard and kind of absorb what it's like. And then once I start to hone in on areas in there, then I'll be like planning to go, because I do camera tests in every location.
What are those, what are those involved? Do you do you go there with an actual like Alexa and like shoot stuff, or is it like, okay?
Yeah, with the Alexa, with the lenses, the Panavision anamorphic lenses, more or less. Like, it's not the full package, but, and then even with the airplane junkyard, I actually also took my Steadicam up there.
Oh wow!
I insisted, because I didn't want him to show up and be. We were also like, I shot Bad Batch in 28 days.
Holy shit!
See, I'm so glad to hear you say holy shit like that.
Yeah.
I know.
For that movie,
I know, dude.
That earns a holy shit. And I'm sure that those locations were not easy.
No, and like the desert stuff, the Dry Lake in Lancaster, our base camp, to get from the hotel to the base camp was about a 45-minute ride. And then we were going on gators to go out to like the spots where all the hermit stuff was. It was like reduced crew on gators, just who had to be there. And then you have a kid, so the hours of the day are like become reduced, and everything, the order you have to shoot is affected, and there's crows. But I like that too. I love that. It's like this thrilling Herzog, you know, like Herzog pushing the boat over the mountain kind of feeling.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
and it's like, it is overwhelming to have like, you know, Jim fucking Carrey on your set. And so then but we're all in the same middle of nowhere, fucking don't have anything, middle of nowhere desert. And so it was like, we were the Bad Batch. It was just like, it was real. We were there. You know what I mean? Like
on the actual days, I'm assuming then with that schedule, you had to like know what you were going. You had to have like your shots lined up and everything, or was it, or not? Were you able to kind of find it on the day?
I storyboard a lot myself, especially when I have like, I mean, I had with this like page 9, she's doesn't have an arm anymore. So like I had to, and I didn't have like a limitless time and money budget. So I had to figure out exactly how many shots I would have to do a certain way of her arm. So I kind of fully planned out a lot of.
Got it.
But then I'll tell you, and this is probably the thing you'll overhear the most if you were standing there at any point, is like at the end of the day, right at the moment, because that's all preparedness and planning, like in a ninja way, so that I show up and I feel like I'm ready.
Yeah, it's about confidence more than anything else. Yeah.
Confidence and knowing and like working out any possible things that I don't want to figure out right then, and just, but then I will just be like, I've got no boner, or like my boner is at half mast, like something's wrong, this lens is wrong, and like, or let's just, and you got to listen to the boner. That's so. Like I'll literally say to. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. Yeah, I have zero feeling below the belt.
But yeah.
Go ahead. What?
No, I'm sorry. I just keep going. Because I know exactly what you're saying with it. Yeah. So,
yeah, I can see. I mean, I can see all your on-screen boners too. You know. Like,
oh, good God, Christ!
Let's
talk about writing.
Oh.
The most limp aspect of the whole process. How do you I
love writing, and you know, I was so surprised. I'm not surprised, I guess, but surprised that you were the sole writer of your Star Wars. Like I was like, that seems amazing to me. Like not that I didn't like, but I thought there would be one other. I mean, you doing the Star Wars. It's like I think that's so cool. It made me even more. I'm already excited, but it made me even more. I'm a writer. Like that's like that's where everything starts from. I mean, that's where everything is.
First and foremost, yeah. I coming into the process, I thought that I would find a writing partner just because I thought this is too terrifying. But
right.
I don't know. It ended up being the most fun I've ever had writing. Have you ever written with somebody, or have you always written?
I never have. Have you?
Not with any of the movies that I've made. Yeah. I've written before I made my first movie. I worked with a friend writing a script. I've worked just kind of on stuff I haven't made with other people, but it feels like for the thing you're actually going to do, I don't know. It always sounds really nice, but I can't imagine.
Yeah.
When it comes down to, you know what I mean? Like
100%. It does sound nice because that weight, because at that point, it's just you in the room of your mind, like forced to answer all these questions and get through all that. Like, I don't know, it's like mental constipation sometimes. You're like,
completely.
But like, it also sometimes can be exhausting to try to talk someone through to get them to where you're already thinking about something in a certain way. And it's like...
Right. I mean, I don't know. I like saying that I don't enjoy writing, which is not really true, but it's definitely like the least, for me, it's the least fun part of the whole process.
What about editing? Because for me, it's editing.
Oh, really? You don't like editing's a great. I love editing. Yeah, but I don't know.
Are you pretty like, when you're in the edit, are you like really hands off? Like, do you like let your editor go off and do whatever and then come back like weeks later? Or are you in there every day?
I am awful. I am a frame fucker. I am, because
Me too.
Same thing. Our poor editors should get together and have drinks together because they deserve them. Have you ever cut your own stuff? Did you start out? Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Yeah. As I'm getting more and doing it more, I think that is one area where I do see the benefit of letting go of the clamp a little more.
Yeah.
More.
I'm having the same experience. I don't know. Have you worked with the same editor on both your movies, or?
I did on my first two. I did. Yeah. How about you? Are you?
No, I've worked with now the same guy I did my last movie with and this one, and he's awesome. And I feel like kind of I've sort of learned through working with him. Bob Doucet is his name. He's just a terrific editor and so patient with me. But I feel like I've learned only through working with him. Like, oh, okay, this is the benefit of having a creative,
partner.
Editor. Yeah, exactly.
Does he do you sometimes just say like, look, I just want to touch it, like I want to get on the Avid, and I'm assuming you do that.
I did on Looper, yeah. On Looper, I actually for the first few months I had my own Avid, and then we kind of slowly transitioned into me sitting behind him and him actually working that. With this one, it's crazy that because just the amount of special effects in the movie, there are so many layers that it's actually just technically beyond my ability. I would be so slow at actually just cutting because there's so much to keep track of.
Totally. Wow.
How about you? How hands-on are you? Do you ever actually get on the machine or take a crack?
Totally.
Yeah.
I'm like, everything you're saying sounds like I could be saying it.
Yeah.
I had my own Avid too, set up for Bad Batch. I had in the room one. Sometimes I would go and do certain things.
Is your editor working while you're? Well, I guess with a quick shoot, probably not. I was going to ask if your editor's working while you're shooting, or whether you just start and do an assembly after you're done. He
kind of does a very mild kind of starting to assemble. I think the thing with me is, and he knew this about me. From how it worked out with the first film, and then there are certain things that I just only know, and then because I'm still shooting the film, I'm not going to be able to tell him until I'm in there and sorting through all of it. God, sorting through all of it at the beginning is
I know. Well, that first assembly is the worst.
Oh my God.
I don't know if I've ever watched the first assembly and not just wanted to
kill yourself.
Pull a Roman bathtub. Absolutely.
The first very rough. I wouldn't even call it a rough cut. I'd call it I was calling it a placebo cut.
Okay.
A placenta. I think.
That's great.
So, and I was in so much pain to go to that screening, but I knew I had to. You have to go through those yourself.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the back of the theater. I took a Xanax and drank a bourbon, and I had a hat and sunglasses on. I literally couldn't bear to take my sunglasses off. And
do you ever get kind of cramped in the position? Because I find myself physically shielding.
Physically hunched over, yes. Oh my God.
I'll find half of my body will fall asleep because I'm my arm is cramped up from shielding my face from the other people. And
Oh my God. So totally, exactly, yes. Oh my God.
It's terrible. So then I don't know. Then as you get into it though and start, and I guess Yeah,
it does. The rewards are like really fucking. You know what I always say? I say like making a film to me is like Shawshank Redemption. It's like I'm Andy Dufresne, and I'm like thinking of the story and shooting is like coming up with the plan and digging that tunnel, and it takes a lot of physical, and you do it and get through it and everything, and then editing to me is crawling through that fucking tunnel. And that, like, if it all, is the direction you were planning, you're going to come out above ground and it'll be raining and you're eventually going to make it to, Zihuatanejo.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm trying to think of like an analogy for because for me, like, writing is like crawling down into a shitty mine and grabbing all these pieces of ore and like, you're alone and it's dark and you don't know if you'll ever see daylight, and you were supposed to have the ore back up top 3 months ago, and everyone's asking you, when is the ore going to be up there? And you're just kind of frightened and alone. And then finally you crawl back up and you got it. And then editing is when, you get to kind of, I don't know, make it into a necklace and string it together. And maybe this goes better. I don't know. It's backwards for me. It's interesting.
Yeah. I have it, I think, different than you, because I think you must be talking a lot about Star Wars right now.
No, actually, I'm not. Star Wars was like the one time that I actually had really fun writing, because they have this story group at Lucasfilm who are just a bunch of cool folks. And what I did, because I was so petrified of pulling a Barton Fink on this, that I moved up to San Francisco, and a couple times a week I would go in and I would just vomit out all the stuff I was working on, and then we would just talk about it, and it just helped me feel less alone, I guess.
Totally.
So,
yeah.
But no, that's always been.
That's cool.
How long did it take you to write Bad Batch?
I would say because I started with the idea when I was editing Girl, and I feel like something starts to happen to me in the edit where the film leaves me, like leaves my soul or something, and like I no longer like the film itself, the idea and all these characters and everything. From the second I start to make it, it's like this comforting time when, even though it's super hard and it's all these problems to solve, they're mine, and I understand the universe, and can find solutions, and then in the edit it starts to shift and I start to like leave it. So I started writing, because I wrote my third film editing Bad Batch.
Oh, okay.
It seems to be, if that hadn't happened,
while you were actually cutting, you were writing. You started writing.
I need to escape, and I'm like, I want to go somewhere else. I don't want to be here anymore.
That's really, really cool. I feel like I can see the benefit. I've never done that before. I could see the benefit of that, actually. Just giving you a little bit of sort of, that kind of distraction.
Like somewhere new to go.
Give your side piece that you're, writing. Yeah, all right.
Totally.
I can get that.
So when I started Bad Batch in the summer of editing Girl, and I finished it like after Sundance. I'm going now.
Wow, that's cool. That's really cool. So you already have your next thing written. You're already working on it.
I have a draft. Do you have like people that you show your, like a small group of?
Yeah, I got a couple just friends who I've had just forever. Totally. Most of them like go back to college. How about you? You got like an inner circle, and it's
like 3 people.
Yeah, that's the perfect amount.
Yeah.
That's a perfect amount. Do you get how much do you like show the movie, and this is something we can probably commiserate on because we're both you're done with post-production, but how much do you like show the movie and get notes and like that whole process? How do you deal with that in terms of refining the cut?
Yeah, I think a lot I do, but I do try to control the direction of it to just try to channel it in a way to be useful, because I do feel like my films are, like pretty visually off the grid sometimes, or like some things can be kind of, I don't know. I need to help to get to where I'm going, even if someone might not initially know it from those rough cuts. So I make these cards with very targeted questions to help people. Like, I will write things like, how did you feel about that moment when this happened? Or how would you describe Miami Man in this scene? Just so that I can hear how they're talking about a certain moment, and then I can manipulate what I need to do if that's something, you know what I mean?
That's super, super smart. Do you also, on top of that, have like an open conversation where like, yeah, okay, now tell me, or do you just keep it to like the focused?
No, I can't do open conversations. I feel like people, when they're given just open conversation to start doing that, it becomes really, for me, it becomes very destructive and painful. I can't.
Right.
I have had that though happen, but I left and they recorded it. Someone else moderated it, and then I just like listened to the audio like the next day.
I feel like if I did that, that tape would then become like it would just sit on my desk. It would become like something out of a David Lynch movie. Or just like, yeah.
Amazing.
Or it's the Grizzly Man thing where you must never listen to this tape.
Yeah, I mean, totally. That's exactly what's happened to me with Twitter right in this moment.
I think it's healthy that, I think I'll probably do a sabbatical from it, I think probably when this comes out, yeah.
Yeah, well, that was like your last talk with Terry Gilliam, or whenever, I don't know if it was your last, but listening to that today. It was like listening to you guys talk about it. It was like just what I needed to hear. Like, you guys talking about it was like very comforting. You got
to take a break. Well, you're on there a bunch. I guess we're both on there. That's the one difference. Like, Terry wasn't really, like, Gilliam, like, didn't really engage with it, but you're really good at Twitter. Like, you're really funny on there, and you're always really interesting and stuff. But how is it in terms of, like, its place, like, I don't know, like, in your life, I guess, beyond just work? Like, how do you feel about it? It violently changed for me in the past few weeks. I'm not gonna lie, and I don't like, I haven't like buried it in the cemetery or anything, but I do feel, because I've been thinking about it a lot, and it's like my job to feel things, and I do feel that it's perfectly fine for me to decide what I want to expose myself to, and that there's no reason for me to back myself up into a corner and like expose myself to a bunch of feelings that I don't understand. That's not my job. And I'm just trying to understand myself, and that's a fucking ongoing, really hard thing to do. And I honestly feel like I love Twitter because it connected me to you. And like, I'm sitting here, I was like getting advice about Twitter, dealing with this, because Sarah Silverman goes through so much shit. Yeah. And I'm like, how do they do it? Yeah. Yeah. I can't bear it. It's like a little bit of it. And it's like 5 million people just, I don't know. It scares the fucking living daylights out of me, to tell you the truth. That I don't, that I'm kind of in awe of people who are getting that amount of shit and still stay on the bull or ride or engage on that level. Like when, you see, Pat and Oswald dive into politics with people and like, and that's, I don't know, that just stresses me out. Yeah. I mean, it's like, how much stress are you supposed to take on? I guess it's admirable, but I don't know. It's also like, I don't know. I also feel like I go back and forth in terms of does engaging with people on Twitter actually move? I feel like when I talk to Gillian about this, does it actually move the needle? Like how much does it actually? And like arguing your point on Twitter just kind of feels a little bit like throwing sand into the ocean, I guess. Totally. Oh my God, what a great, that's a tweet. No. That
That's all anything is worth these days, my friend.
I gotta monetize that. That's good. I can monetize that shit.
Oh my god.
When does the movie actually come out? When is it out?
23rd. It comes out in a week. 23rd.
Are you going all the way up? Are you like on the hamster wheel all the way up until the release, or do you get like a little break before?
No, I'll get a break on the 25th.
25th. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and then I'll go into like deep recluse. Like I don't know.
Just will you get rest, or will you like curl into a fetal position and like sort of
binge watch Chef's Table again? Even
exactly.
What do you do after you're done shooting a movie?
I don't know. I guess that's what I'm a little afraid of. Well, after I'm done shooting, I get sick. I just get a cold and don't do anything for a few months. But after a movie comes out, and I see, that's why I really admire. I think that's awesome that you have a draft. And it's really smart that you've got your next script in your hands. I feel like I'm too good at taking time off, and especially in that weird phase after a movie where you have that kind of post, I don't know. It's like a malaise that inevitably hits. Like there's this huge event, and then you wake up and the sun still comes up, and you still got to it's just life is just back, but this thing is over. But yeah, I don't know.
Totally.
But not like it's a talk about first world problem. But anyway,
it is definitely. But still, whatever. So what? Fuck it. We have to talk about our problems, man.
All right. It's not even a problem. It's just like I guess
because what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do after Star Wars?
Well, that's the thing. I've got like a couple ideas I've been working on, pretty well developed. I just got to sit down and fucking write one of them. And I guess my pipe dream is, because we're actually going to be done with, if we stick to schedule, we're done with our post-production like in August. So I'll have, and the movie doesn't come out till Christmas, so I'll have a couple months that I'm hoping, my pipe dream is I'll actually write one of these scripts.
Amazing.
Yeah, it would be amazing. Are you like prepping already, or you just have the draft and you're just still kind of?
I have the draft, and I'm thinking I want to do it in like March.
That's exciting. That's cool. I would ask you more about it, but I'm not going to ask you more. You can tell me offline more about it.
Yeah, I will tell you offline for sure.
All right. We'll reconvene offline.
Yeah.
That is super cool. I had like I panicked 10 minutes before this and was like, oh God. And so I wrote down just a little list of stuff, and I've slowly checked it all off. And I'm sure you're so fucking sick of talking.
I'll tell you something. I'll tell you something really in all earnestness. It is so comforting to talk to another filmmaker, another director, and like someone who like can understand some of the shit. It's very specific. And not that many people go through it. It's like, like the people that climb Everest. They're the ones that know what it's like.
Except this is harder, man. Except this is hard. No. No. And I guess I should have led with up at the top. Did I say how much I loved Bad Batch? I loved it, man. I thought it was so.
Did you? I'm so curious.
I did. I was really. I found, there were two, just, first of all, just like on the craft level, like it's that sort of thing where and this, I obviously I experienced this the first time with Girl, and but with this also, there's just that thing where you start watching a movie and you feel like, I'm in really good hands, like just storytelling wise. I'm like, okay, I trust this person. I'm going to climb into this boat and kind of open myself up and go on this ride, because I know it's taking me somewhere, and I know it's gonna, and then where it took me, I just really loved. It's got the same. It's funny because you're right. There is a lot more kind of examination of kind of the dark shit in people in it, but it also has. I think both your movies have this deep deep-seated romanticism to him, that I really, really connect to and love. I mean, even when you're at your darkest in this movie, there's, even when the romantic element of it is dark, it's still deeply romantic, I think, and I was really moved by the whole thing. I just thought it was a really beautiful film, and I really dug it. I'm excited for more people's shit.
Fuck, I'm glad I made it.
Make another one. Make another one. Fast, quick.
I think that's like my dirty closeted secret, is that I'm deeply romantic and optimistic. It's like all just covered in layers of all the crap.
You may think it's covered. I don't know. I think it's out on your sleeve a little more than you think. I think both of your movies, it's got, like I think about the scene with the disco ball and girl, or I think about, the relationship between Miami Man and, it was a character named Arlen.
Yeah.
But but I don't know. I think it's out there, man. I feel like that's kind of like the beating heart of what I connect to in your movies. I think it's really beautiful. I'm psyched to see what you do next.
I'm psyched to see Star Wars.
Yeah!
I mean, like, beyond. Like, thank God. Like, what the fuck?
Get them down.
I gotta buy you, like, a couple of shots of tequila.
All right. Do it. There we go. We'll watch Star Wars and drink. That's the perfect.
Do you like tequila?
I do. Yeah. But I'm not like it sounds, the way you asked that question, I have a feeling you have some lessons to teach about tequila.
I just like it.
All right. Let's offline.
Definitely. Yeah.
All right, cool, Lily. I'll let you go. I'll let you rest your.
Thanks, man.
Rest your talking about the movie thing. But this was such a blast. I'm so happy we got to talk.
Yeah, me too. Such a treat. Really, much needed. Perfect timing.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll, indeed. To me, a successful talk is one that ends with both participants planning to get drunk together.
For sure. This was a fantastic episode, and we have a couple more coming up for you. The Spring Best of Music and Film.
I'm looking forward to those. I've recorded one of them already. I bet you can guess which one.
I love when you talk with me about music. And listeners, we love when you tweet at us at Talkhouse.
We're also on Facebook and Instagram.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, head over to iTunes or Stitcher and subscribe.
And also rate and review us. It helps other people to find the podcast.
And an angel gets their wings. Thanks for listening.
Nice. That's high-tech Star Wars shit right there.
It's held together with the droid sticking out of the back.